You know that sound, that little tickle in your throat? We've all had a cough. But what happens when that cough decides to move in, unpack its bags, and just not leave? Today we're diving into some incredible research from the New England Journal of Medicine that looks at the hidden neurology behind a chronic cough. And it all starts with one simple question.
And it's a really good question, right? You get over the cold, the flu is long gone, but that cough, it's still there. It's like that one guest who just won't leave the party. So why does this happen? Well, the answer, it turns out, has less to do with your lungs and a whole lot more to do with your body's wiring.
All right, so to really get into this, we first need to define our terms. When does a totally normal cough cross the line into something more, well, chronic?
Okay, this timeline is really the key. Doctors put coughs into a few different buckets based on how long they stick around. An acute cough, that's the kind you get with a cold, is usually gone in under 3 weeks. Then there's the subacute cough, which can be a real pain, hanging around for 3 to 8 weeks. But that 8-week mark, that's the magic number. If a cough lasts longer than that, you've officially entered chronic territory.
And this is the most important part. A chronic cough isn't just a long-lasting cough. It's one that's become disconnected from what started it. It's like the fire is out, but the smoke alarm is still blaring away. This is where the story takes a fascinating turn toward our nervous system.
So to understand what's going wrong, we have to first understand how a normal cough actually works. And for that, we need to take a trip down the body's main cough highway.
Meet the main character in our story today, the vagus nerve. I want you to think of it as a massive fiber optic cable that runs all the way from your lungs and airways straight to your brainstem. It is the primary route for all cough-related traffic. Every tickle, every irritant, every single signal to cough travels along this nerve. So let's trace the journey of one single cough signal. We're going to follow it from that initial spark all the way from the lungs up to the command center in the brain. It all starts right here, in the lining of your airways. A trigger shows up. This could be literally anything: dust, pollen, mucus, or maybe just the inflammation that's left over from an infection. This is the disturbance that kicks the whole process off.
Now let's zoom way in. Embedded in the lining of your airway are millions of tiny, incredibly sensitive nerve endings. And when that trigger, that dust or inflammation shows up, it activates these sensors. This is the moment a physical event gets translated into an electrical signal. The alarm has officially been pressed.
And our bodies are pretty smart. We don't just have one type of alarm. We have specialists. They're the A delta fibers, which are kind of like motion detectors. They sense physical touch and even acidic changes. Then you've got the C fibers. They're more like heat sensors, detecting actual tissue damage, inflammation, and other irritants. Together, they make up this amazing security system for our lungs.
Once that alarm is triggered, the signal wastes absolutely no time. It just shoots up that vagus nerve highway we talked about, traveling from the airways at an incredible speed, heading right for the central processing unit.
And here it is, the first stop, a part of the brainstem called the medulla oblongata. Now, for a long time, scientists thought this was basically the end of the story. Signal comes in, a reflex command to cough goes out. Simple, right? Well, not exactly.
This is the part of the story where everything we thought we knew about chronic cough gets flipped on its head. The brain isn't just a simple switch, it is an active participant.
You know, we tend to think of a cough like that knee-jerk thing at the doctor's office. It's automatic, simple, almost brainless. But what modern brain imaging has shown us is that that's just not the case. The reality is far more complex, and it involves multiple higher regions of the brain. So here's the crucial point. The signal arrives at the brainstem, but then other parts of the brain get involved. They analyze it, they can turn the volume up or down on it, and in the case of a chronic cough, it seems like they get stuck with the volume turned way, way up. The brain essentially develops a habit of coughing.
And this, right here, is the central takeaway. A chronic cough is so often the result of hypersensitive nerves and a brain that's just amplifying the signals. The problem isn't necessarily in the lungs anymore, it's in the wiring itself. The entire system has become faulty.
So if the problem is a faulty signal, how in the world do you fix it? Well, this new understanding is paving the way for a completely new generation of treatments, ones that focus on silencing that broken signal. This quote from the New England Journal of Medicine article really says it all. Instead of just trying to soothe the lungs, researchers are now developing drugs that directly target this faulty nerve signaling. They're looking for ways to calm down those hypersensitive nerves. The new goal is to basically hack the system. If you can't stop the trigger and you can't fix the lungs, maybe you can just intercept the message. You can tell the overactive nerves to quiet down and finally break that vicious cycle of coughing. Which leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. As we understand more about this cough highway and the brain's role in it all, could we one day develop a treatment that acts like a switch, effectively turning off a chronic cough right at its neurological source? For millions of people, that is a very promising thought indeed.